Sweet. So we have our input here, but we haven't done anything to wire it up. We can hit order a bunch, but React doesn't automatically submit that information anywhere. Order, click, give me a scone, click, 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 click. Nothing happens. React just doesn't know what to do, and it's like that intentionally. React won't do anything unless you tell it exactly what to do. You'll need to wire up every single event handler yourself, including clicks, input changes, input focuses, and any interaction from the user. You need to tell React exactly what you want it to do with that information. And at that moment, we don't have any access to that input. We could just say like document.querySelector, give this an ID, or we could say class name, select menu item, space input, and select that. But that's not the React way. And components like that, are like this one right here, are called uncontrolled components because there's nothing controlling what should happen with them. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to create a controlled component. And so what does that mean? Well, React works well because it has control over all the information and HTML and DOM or whatever that it needs to render your app. Right now, it doesn't have any control over the input because we just put it in there and we said, hey, here it is. So we want to change so that React has control over exactly what happens inside this input, and then it knows exactly what to do with it. Now, this is way more complicated. There's way more to this than just saying document.querySelector.add event listener. So I'm going to show you like how to do it, and then I'm going to talk about why we do it that way afterwards, okay? So first, we'll need to tell React what to do when the input changes and what to do when the user submits their order. First, we're going to deal with the input changing. So start by adding a key to the state object up here. See the state object with the orders? I'm actually going to delete this order because we don't need it anymore. I'm going to leave this orders array empty. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create another key here called input value. And I'm going to set it equal to nothing. Okay? Then we're going to tell the input it should have the text value equal to whatever this is inside this.state.input value. So right here, this input, its value, its name is selected item input, and its value, and the second I start adding any more props to this, I'm going to say value is equal to, and then what I put here. That's right. This.state.input value. Now you'll notice the second I do this, by the way, try and type it in the input now. Oop, uh-oh. Oh yeah, sorry. The cool thing about this, by the way, is React will tell you what the warning is. You provided a value to a prop form field without an on-change handler. So again, every time you do this, React will be like, hey, let me guide you through this process. Here's the next thing you need to do. Oh, and by the way, this updated, so there's no orders yet. Really, just super snazzy. But if you try and type in here, I'm typing and nothing is happening. Same for you, right? Yeah. So why not? Why won't it change? Well, we gave React complete control over this input. We said, hey, its value is only equal to this.state.input value. So unless I change this to be a scone up here, nothing changes inside that. And I can't delete the scone. I can't get rid of it. No matter what I do, that's the value because we said, hey, the value is always equal to this.state.input value. So what we need to do is we need to do exactly what our error here is telling us. We need to add an on-change handler. And an on-change handler will say, hey, when we change this input, what should happen? So we're going to add an event handler here called onChange. An event handler, will look like this. This is going to be called handle input change. And it is going to take in, it's going to be a function or a method here. Why is that? Okay, whatever. It's going to take a method. I don't know why it's doing that. That's so weird. Whatever. And whenever we change our input, we want it to call the this.handleInputChange method and pass a synthetic React event to it. Now, what synthetic React event means is just the fact that React has this thing called a virtual DOM, which it uses to create the DOM here and make this work all nice. But essentially what we're going to do I mean, again, the virtual DOM, all that stuff is like a little bit outside the scope of this tutorial. If you want me to explain that more later, I will. But this is really all you need to know. You need to know that a React event gives you access to the target element through an event.target.value. So right here, it passes this React event to the handle input change. The method here, the handle input change method. And this, when we do this, React will, oh, by the way, down here, we have to say on change, just like it said, equals to this dot handle input change. And so now, whenever we change it, it's going to pass that event to this handle input change method. And so if we save this, we'll see that our error should go away, and it does, but still nothing happens when we change this, because we've passed it the event, but we haven't told it what to do with the event yet. And so like, you could do something like this. You could say, hey, console.log event.target.value. And if you do that, and you were to save this, and then you were supposed to come in here, you'll notice that I'm typing stuff in, but it's not actually changing the input itself. It's just console.logging what it would be if it had actually changed it. And so this is kind of nice because it tells us what's going on behind the scenes, but it's not actually changing the state.input value at all. So it's still scone dot whatever I put at the end of it. So we have to actually change it. Now you could say something like this.state.input value is now equal to event.target.value or something like that, but that's actually the wrong way to do it. So if I do this, I think it'll work. I actually don't know. Ah, cool, check it out, by the way. It says do not mutate state directly. Use set state. I love this. So I come in here and oh, it actually doesn't change it. Cool, it still doesn't change it. I love that. So we cannot change it directly. That's just the way React works. Instead, what we do is we use this special way of handling state changes. We say exactly what it says in this error. It says use set state, right? So because we made this a class, this main class has access to this method called this.setState. And this.setState is a special React thing that allows us to give it a function. So take the previous state, which was, in this case, scone, I'm gonna make it empty, and take that previous state, and I pass it to this fat arrow function, and this fat arrow function is going to say this.setState, and we're going to return a new state object. We're going to return a state object where the orders is still equal to whatever the previous state.orders was, but the input value is going to equal to the new value, event.target.value. And so we can actually do the same thing we did before. We can destructure this. We can say const value equals event.target, and then make the input value equal to the new value. And by doing this, we have set up a controlled component. So every time we enter something in here, I'm actually going to continue to console.log this just so you can see. Let me save it too. We type something in here, HEA, and notice it console.logs the new value, and it updates my input exactly like I want it to. So now it acts like it normally would, but it is controlled by React. That's all for this video.